Now up to 2. Alright, now in drive. Okay. That prior video didn't show as much as I want, but I'm going to try to do the same test I did before, comparing it to my neighbor's car, just for another look. That was neutral. This is reverse. This is forward. Alright, first was revving in neutral, second was reverse, third was forward, and as I was revving it, I was getting it, I would say, up to about 2200 RPM. This has been going on for quite a while, simply getting and returning parts, but I think I've got the correct motor mounts for the car now. So I have gotten the car up on ramps so I can get up underneath. I happen to be lucky enough that I own an engine hoist, so I've set up the engine hoist. I do not recommend you get the engine lifted up by the intake manifold, but I'm not taking it all the way out, and I know the risk. I'm doing it anyway. Anyway, now I got to get up underneath, loosen the bolts on the old engine mounts, jack the engine up just enough to make room so I can get the old ones out, the new ones in, bolt them back in. So the new ones, essentially they've got 2 bolts that are going to hold it to the engine, 1 bolt that holds it to the frame, and that's all there is. And this goes between the engine and the frame on each side. Now what I'm hoping is we're going to get the old ones out and see that the rubber in here is just completely destroyed on the old ones, and that's what's causing the steering wheel to jerk. So we'll see. An important thing about jacking up the engine, now remember, we're not going to disconnect the transmission or the drive shaft or anything, so the back of it is going to remain attached to the vehicle. These are predominantly attached with 1 transmission mount at the back and 2 on the engine, so it's a tripod. Now, I have loosened up the bottom nut of each of the engine mounts, and in jacking it up, realized that you got to get into the back of the engine here and loosen up or remove the dog bone, because the dog bone here is going to keep pressure between the body of the car and the engine, preventing the engine from lifting up like that, which is exactly what we want. So I removed the air box, I loosened the dog bone, I took out one of the bolts of the dog bone and just got it out of the way so I can, in fact, jack up the engine, and you can see I've done that. I've put the pressure on the engine, jacked it up, it tilted just as I expected, and now we can get back under, hopefully get that couple of bolts out of here. Not exactly the easiest thing to get to, but you can see right up there was 1 14mm bolt holding the engine mount to the car. This nut was the 14mm nut holding the engine mount to the chassis, and there is another mount bolt holding the mount to the engine, and it's kind of buried up in there, and I got to finagle out. I'm sure it's 14mm, but I got to figure out how to reach it. And I think I just figured out how to reach it is from behind. I can actually get my fingers on it, but what's going on here is that the exhaust, as I lifted up the engine, the exhaust is pressing up against the cross member, and actually the exhaust is preventing the engine from being jacked any further up and getting out of the way. So I'm going to get in here and see if I can take off the exhaust manifolds off of the engine, see if I can lift the engine up and give myself more room. Ladies and gentlemen, what a massive difference. I kept on reaching and swearing and all kinds of things. Firstly, I did loosen the exhaust, and you can see here that does allow the engine to be picked up far more because the exhaust was getting caught right here on the cross member. So then I was able to jack up the engine significantly more, and this is the motor mount right here I'm trying to get to. The other side is right here, and honestly right now the rubber doesn't look all completely shot and gone. I'm still hoping that's what the problem is. But anyway, the plastic flashing on the bottom of the engine is right over there. I took that off, and it's just a world of difference in accessing stuff in here. So for those of you watching, remove that thing first. Okay, I got the driver's side motor mount out, and the rubber, it's soft. Of course, on the new one, it's still a little pliable too. It's soft, it's cracked. I don't know if you can see in there, it's cracked a bit. It's got some dry rot in it. It's not as awful as I had hoped. It's not as clear. You see this is loose, but that's normal. It's held on by the bolts. So, well, anyway, I got it off. I'm going to put the new one on. Obviously, this one's cracked, and I've done all this work. I'm not going to just put the old piece of junk back on. Anyway, I really hope this is what the problem of the car is, but we'll see. One other note, I should point out that these are, I was going to say directional, but there is a left and a right side, so make sure you match it up, otherwise you're going to have a miserable time trying to get the wrong one in the wrong side. Okay, I'm back under the car, or I've stayed under the car. That is the new passenger side motor mount. I have reconnected the exhaust bolts. Over on the driver's side, I've reconnected the exhaust bolts. That is the motor mount. The nut is tight on the bottom of each. The bolts are tightened on the top of each. I've set the motor back down, and frankly, it's ready to be test driven and see. I don't know if I'm going to test drive it before or after I put the flashing back on. I suppose I'll just put the flashing back on, because even if this doesn't correct the problem, it's not like I'm going to put the old motor mounts back in.